It's like, what? How does this work? Be like, I don't know. Amazing. Figuring out how everything works is left as an exercise to the reader. And I don't understand. Like, our command lines are almost identical. The only thing is we don't have no compile editor. They have no debug info, but I don't know what that would do. They have UTF-8 output. Dash compile. Like, I can understand what the prereqs and the crash reporter thing does. Be like, well, include those. All right, that makes sense. But I wish there was some reference for that, because actually, I think the prereqs thing is something that I've screwed up in the past here. It might actually fix some of our dependency issues. Because I thought I was using those, and obviously I'm not. I mean, I guess that's what happens when you're only one person. But no debug info is interesting to me, because I don't really understand what that would mean. Like, we're making a shipping build. Like, is no debug info gonna not have PDB files? Alright, so this is the 55. If we go to engine, we got extras and the setup now. How big is that? 40 megs? Well, it might zip up better than that. The binaries does not have the icon. The PDBs are not there. So I don't think we want the no debug info, because we do want that. Oh, give me a fucking break. There's nothing there. Great. Alright. It's because it's incomplete log. Scripts for project. Well, as long as it's local, we can try to figure out why we don't have an icon. The only thing I can think of is the icon's too big or something. Yeah, exercise to the reader. That's always the thing in college that we joked about was, error handling is left as an exercise to the reader, and it's like every single time error handling is the hard part. So the only other thing I can think of is that, like, we're supposed to be looking at the project root and then build Windows application icon. But the issue would be if the directory that we're running this from yeah, it would be if the like the working directory actually matters for this sort of crap. So the idea is that maybe we should switch directories. Well, let's see where we're running the editor from in Visual Studio. It's in the project directory. So the editor working directory is going to be this guy. So we want just Project Dashkin as our working directory. So we want to call pushd and then popd on these guys. So that'll push our directory over there. And is that just CD? All right, let's see if it's a directory problem. Current directory is in Dashkin. All right, we'll see if it can figure out what the hell it's doing then. Because if it has to be in that directory, that's kind of shitty. But I mean, all the build scripts that I've written, it doesn't matter which directory you run them from; they should work. So that's kind of how you're supposed to do it. It's like working directory is not something you should ever rely on with your command line tools. Same thing with your executables. Like, I just run this tool. Oh yeah, it was in the wrong directory. You gotta put it inside of this other directory. Otherwise, it deletes your hard drive. Thank you, League of Legends installer. Thank you. So we have the thing, it's got the icon, but this guy doesn't have the icon still. Alright, why not? There's got to be something. There's got to be some reason why that the icon isn't getting applied. You know? It's supposed to be a 256 by 256 icon. It is an actual exe icon properly, but the taskbar and game icons are not being set properly and default on the Unreal logo. You can place the icon in a zip and upload it here. Here's the zip. It looks like you may be limited. Attaching it, that seems to work. Can you see? When I use the icon file for the Break project, I'm getting the icon on the exe, but instead of getting your icon, I get the Unreal icon. I'm now setting generic. Windows 8. I'm packaging 64-bit on Windows 10. I'm seeing this. I get that same. But when I use Adam's icons, I get the same as the second image. Is it that it needs to be in Windows no editor or something? And doesn't need to be in Windows 64 maybe? Let's just go shoot a few icons into folders, because that's what it's looking for. Supposedly it's looking for icons in these directories. I think maybe it's like a Win64 sort of thing, maybe. I took my original PNG, loaded into ICO for portable. At first the new icon did, but I reset the icon to the default before and then changed the icon back. It seemed to update and now shows. I mean, there's a lot of issues with icons. Like the icon file obviously is correct because otherwise we wouldn't be getting, the other stuff working. No, it's not. Still not doing what it's supposed to be doing. Engine source runtime launch resources. So it's an engine source runtime launch. Alright, well, let's just force this UE4 icon that's in the directory here to be what we want. Let's just tell this thing, hey, the default icon? Yep, we're just going to overwrite you. So if we're getting the default icon, I mean, we can just say to hell with it, not actually fix the problem, and just be like, well, you will use this icon or you won't use any icon. Thank you very much. Also, icons are really screwy with Windows. Like, if I look at this guy, it's got UE4.ico here. But that's obviously not what the picture has. Windows caches a whole bunch of this stuff, which is really annoying, especially when you're trying to fix an icon. You may have actually fixed it. It's just that Windows needs to be like actually restarted, and I don't know. I don't know the magical dance to busting icons, but I just know they're goddamn liars. Which is kind of the worst thing with programming is when things are kind of undefined. You're like, well, is this the right icon? You'd be like, well, I don't know. What do you mean? Like, that's the best answer I can give you. It's like, but it's either right or wrong. You're like, no, it's somewhere in between. Thanks, Microsoft, for introducing analog into a digital world. It is not very appreciated. Because it worked here, but it didn't work on the internal. So, like, this application, it ran and did its thing, but not the others. And even this guy has its own icon. Well, let's force this thing to rebuild. It might even be another thing entirely where the the client's not getting built, so it's not actually putting the icon in the executable. It may also be that it's cached here, so yeah. See, there we go. It picked it up, like just like that. So maybe I fixed it with something else here, and there's no real good way to even know what it was that it. I'm guessing it's probably this build Windows 64 or the Windows No Editor icons. Like that kind of makes sense with Windows No Editor. Um, but I'm going to go ahead and reconcile some of these directories. Which that's some of the most screwy stuff is when you have to deal with that sort of crap. Where what is this? Program failed. It's probably because I got something open. How come the pop D didn't work? I mean, it should have, but then it didn't, which is always super fun. Automation tool with exception. What? Failed to produce item. Cannot open file. Dashkin editor extensions. Oh, does the file exist? So it's trying to link editor extensions runtime. There's got to be something here with Visual Studio or the actual editor getting in the way. Is there anything running in the background that might screw with this? CEF bootstrap.exe? Maybe. Alright, nothing too much going on. Like, fatal error cannot open that thing. Well, it should be able to be open this time. I mean, the only thing I can think of is that the editor itself was actually using the DLL. So when it linked, it couldn't open it. Yeah, there it goes. I'm betting it's not that the icon was screwed up. It's not that the default fixed. I'm betting it's the Windows No Editor application icon actually fixed it. But I'm going to leave all of them in there because if it's fixed, it's fixed. I don't have to worry about it anymore. But the prereq stuff, like, I was wondering why Unreal's prereq stuff. I've been assuming, and I guess I should have. This is not a good assumption. I was assuming that the shipping builds I was making with the editor were the same shipping builds that were being made with the command line because both the editor and the command line call the same UAT, Unreal Automation Tool, to build the game and package it up. And I was assuming that they were kind of the same, and I guess that's completely wrong because I didn't check every single syllable of every single command line argument. And then, that never goes well. Alright, so that's finished cooking, and it should do the actual stage and copy. I might not need the all maps. And that might actually save us some space. Because it should cook just the maps that we need. Supposedly. How come this is now empty? Oh, because we should be going into saved. Was I even looking at the right goddamn thing? Okay, so we didn't fix it, and I was just looking at the wrong thing. So where in the hell is it pulling this Unreal icon from? Like, we replaced that icon. Wow. All right. Well, otherwise, it's basically it's not finding the application, I guess. So as a result of that, is there any like print for our C# stuff? Why is it so difficult for this sort of stuff? Like, supposedly it's like system.diagnostics. Whatever the hell. Can you not, Visual Studio? Can you please not try to auto format my shit for me? It is not helpful. Alright, well, let's see if we can actually just build this thing, this automation tool, and if this will actually write out our lines. It's kind of ridiculous. Here we are, not only going into Unreal Engine core code, but we're going into the goddamned Unreal Automation Tool core code to fix frickin' icon. Get your shit together. I mean, at this point, at some point there, you kind of. I mean, it also might be that we need Windows Client. Okay, yeah, Windows no editor here, but we might need like Windows client. Because that's something else that it's saying here. Because at this point, like if Unreal isn't injecting an icon into the executable, what I can always do is I can always get something else to inject that later. Like if Unreal is going to be a gigantic pain in the ass with setting our frickin' icon, then why not just, write something out? What is this inside of? The material shader quality crap? Yeah, we don't have to worry too much about that. Let's just make sure we build our automation tools. Become an engineer, they said. It'll be fun, they said. You won't just be watching command lines, they said. They were wrong. Alright, so supposedly it got built. So let's go ahead and run it. And let's be watching the command line arguments. So it's the cook command. So I guess it'll be after the cook, it'll be part of the other stuff. Probably. I could look at a little bit different things. Okay, collecting files to add to the pack. Creating pack file. Copying non-UFS. Debug files. Package. Archive. Copy, copy. So did our stuff even get used? Doesn't really look like it. Me4 editor command. Yeah, it's still not working. And we didn't get any of our update stuff here. So I really need to figure out how, like, right line. It's a fucking Perl script. So how come we can print to the log here but not over in this other thing? The hell is this error? This is a method which is not valid in the given context. All right. Well, how about why? The software will not be supported, yet it's the software that we absolutely need to have work. Do we need to make a new log? Is that what's going on here? I don't see any log stuff going on here. We've got init logging, create log file listener, all sorts of shit here, but none of it doing anything. It's a static method implement. What the fuck? God damn it. I don't get it. I haven't done a lot of C# coding either. And by a lot, I mean I've run almost none. So what the fuck? Like, this doesn't really make any damn sense to me that... Like, we've got a trace verbose, and then there's, like, conditional. What the f... So, compilers that a method call should be ignored unless that's defined. Don't see any reason for this. Okay, so it looks like it's a namespace issue. Like that. So you just gotta wait for this thing to finish. And I can always write just another Java tool to set an executable icon. But I really don't think this should be, making mountains out of molehills, but it's still just one of those things where it should just work, and it's not. And if this doesn't work, then maybe other crap isn't working properly either. So if we just kind of cover up the problem, we might be covering up other problems that we'll have to deal with later, too. Well, supposedly, according to the logs, the staged bootstrap executable root was found. The icon was found, and then it was not null, so it got updated. I hate these one-line if statement shit like that. That's so dumb. Update the resources in the new file, intermediate file. Okay, so this is the bootstrap executable. So we're actually Like, the bootstrap executable is fine. The issue is the actual executable that we've got